Well, Chase, I know last time out didn't get the result that you wanted. I'm curious, kind of what you took out of that fight.
Um, After that fight, man, I was kind of bitter at the way that things had transpired. There was just a lot of things that went on in that camp, dealing with that were out of my control, really. Dealing with the injury, um, my coach getting COVID, my opponent getting changed last minute, a lot of other personal things that were transpiring. Um, and it was, and then we finally made it to the fight and get there, and we're like, I just felt really good. We talked about it beforehand, and I was really convincing myself that there was going to be a positive outcome, and then going into that fight and warming up in the back 5 minutes before walking out, bam, tear my meniscus and partially tear my ACL right before go. I mean, literally 5 minutes before walking out. And so I went from the mind state of like I'm about to run through Andre to like just don't get fucking embarrassed. And then to go out there and then almost win that fight and then almost finish him in the first round and then realize that there was only one finish on the card. I would have finished that fight and got the bonus, got a new contract, and then I had to drive all the way home from Vegas to Mississippi in a Jeep with a torn knee, and really just kind of like chew on that, and then get home and have surgery and what I took most from that, and like I said, I was bitter at the beginning of it, but if none of those things had transpired, I wouldn't have came to the conclusion that I wasn't as mentally strong as I could have been. You know what I mean? And so I couldn't control any of the things that had happened, but I could have controlled the way that I responded to them. And I realized that once I kind of flipped the script of I'm going to win this fight to, just don't get embarrassed because I could barely walk to the cage. That once I changed that mentality, then I was already defeated. And and I could have very well won that fight even on one leg, and it was a really close bout. But because I had told myself that I wasn't going to win, and I didn't. And after that had happened, I kind of really dug deep and knew that I was going to have to sit at home and recover from the surgery, and I know I was going to be in my head a lot. So I was like, well, fuck, if I'm going to be in there, I'm going to make it a happy place. So I really just dug deep and really worked on just my mental fortitude and strengthening everything in my mind. And, you're looking at a different fighter now. And I'm excited to see how everything transpires in this fight coming up. I'm excited to really I feel complete, like a complete fighter, mentally, spiritually, physically. Everything is in line.
That's awesome. That's a valuable lesson. I got to ask. I know you don't want to live in the past, but what happened to your knee? Did you just take a funny step, like warming up? And what happened?
So I'd injured it in actually in training camp, and I came to Vegas, rehabbed it, and then 2 or 3 weeks before the fight, re-injured it again. So the meniscus is a kind of it's a tricky kind of tendon. It's one of those things like when your leg moves a certain way, that cartilage will get caught, that tendon will get caught in between where your knee bends, your femur and your tib, and so especially when it's a complete tear. So they call it a bucket handle tear, and so when I just stepped to throw a little kick, hitting pads in the back, and that knee just caught. And I actually looked at my one of my cornermen, who's also my physical therapist, and I was like, dude, fucking fix it. He was like, there ain't nothing I can do for you, man. He's like, your knee's stable. It's just gonna hurt like hell. So like it really just the stability was there, but the mobility, you couldn't press on it, and it sucked, man. It sucked knowing that like right there in the first round, if I knew I had my legs under me when I hurt them, it'd have been over. It'd have been game over. And but the positive from that is knowing that I can go in there on a week's notice with a top dog with one leg and essentially finish them. And so, it was a blessing in disguise. It really was.
Nice. Well, you've moved forward. You get Parker Porter. Was this a matchup you wanted to put back together? Was there any desire to have this particular opponent, or is that just the one that the UFC came with?
No. That's what we wanted because that's what we were prepared for. We felt it was a good matchup. It was a favorable matchup, and so yeah, Mick made it happen. So I'm grateful for that.
What is it about this matchup? Is it something stylistically that you see, or is it what is it that you see about him that you think we want to keep this fight?
Yeah, just some of the things that he does is I think it plays into my advantage a little bit. And then also too, just getting back into the UFC, kind of going about my career in the right way and kind of building up, you know what I mean, into the levels that it needs to be, you know what I mean. So Parker's 1-1, and he's an admirable opponent, and just gonna go out there and get this win and be, we're starting on a clean slate, it'll be 2-1. Coming in this go round, and then just kind of build from there. And there's a couple guys out there that are putting my name in their mouth and calling me out. So there's options after this as well. But right now we got Saturday night. Take care of that, and then we'll address everything else.
I don't think of you as much of a trash talker in your career, but I got to ask you about this Instagram post where you said 2 of my favorite things in life are putting people to sleep and a nice set of titties. This week I'll get to see both. Is this a new facet of your game as well? You're gonna drop the subtle low.
Well, I was telling some of my coaches, and kind of the path that I'm going on, the path to kind of being what would you call it, more mindful and enlightened in those things. Trying to shed the ego, but we live in a sport where it's a very egotistical sport, and so Chase Sherman didn't post that. You know what I mean? The gorilla did. So that's who I am. That's who I have to be on fight week, and that, you know what I mean? Like that's and Parker kind of brought it on himself. He said he was going to finish me and get the bonus. So up until that point, I had nothing to say, but now. If you think that you're going to come in here and put me away and then make a name off of me and then walk away with a wealthy bag or a steep bag of cash from it, then I'm going to talk a little shit along the way.
Nice. Last thing for me, I know you said some people called you out, some matchups. I mean, one of them was a welterweight. You see Jason Witt a few weeks back. He said he's the vanilla gorilla. Don't take that name. He said he'll fight you for it. Would you fight a welterweight for the nickname?
He needs to stop. He just needs to stop. And he needs to change his name before I change it for him, and then I change his face. He ain't no fucking 170-pound man walking around beating on his chest calling himself a gorilla. You got knocked out by 2 guys in less than a minute combined. One of which is my teammate. And, I haven't been 170 pounds since the 3rd grade, bro. You don't want this. You don't want this.